Hello and welcome, my name's Phil and this is episode 10 of My Favourite Shots. 10! I hope you enjoyed the shot from La La Land last week. I found out since then actually that Linus Sandgren, the guy who shot that film, he's just finished shooting the latest Bond film, which is very cool.
Name? Bond. James Bond.
If you've not already, please subscribe down below and hit the bell button, and then you'll get a notification each time I put a new video up.
Wow, is that gonna happen every time?
I think so.
So this week's shot is from a very famous film from the 70s called Apocalypse Now, 1979, and it was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, beautifully shot by Vittorio Storaro, starring Martin Sheen and Marlon Brando. And the first thing to say about this film is that it's not a war film. It's set in the war, but this is a film about madness and about the very dark places that humans can go to. And what better backdrop for a film about madness than the Vietnam War, which most people said at the time, and almost everyone has said since, was utter madness. It's based on a book by Joseph Conrad called Heart of Darkness, where a Captain Willard takes a boat up a river in Africa and goes deeper and deeper into the jungle. And we have the same here with a Captain Willard, although he's special forces for the American Army, and he's going up the river, actually out of Vietnam and into Cambodia, to try and find Colonel Kurtz, who, to all intents and purposes, has gone insane.
Every man has got a breaking point. You and I have them. Walt Kurtz has reached his.
And that journey up the river is the perfect metaphor for the film as it gets darker and darker and more and more unhinged and into the realms of madness. There are countless shots in this film which are beautiful, but the one we're going to look at today is from a moment where Captain Willard finally gets to meet the famous Colonel Kurtz that he's been going up this river to try and find. So let's have a look at the scene and then we'll talk about why the shot is so good and see if you can spot which shot it's going to be.
What did they tell you? They told me that you had gone totally insane. And that your methods were unsound. Are my methods unsound? I don't see any method at all. Are you an assassin? I'm a soldier. You're neither. You're an errand boy, sent by grocery clerks to collect a bill.
So, the shot we're going to talk about today is this one here. And all the way up to this point during this conversation, Kurtz is hiding in the darkness. He's shielding his face in the shadows. And I would argue in this scene, there's actually three characters, okay? You've got Colonel Kurtz, you've got Captain Willard, and you've got the darkness, or the evil, if you like. And in this scene, Colonel Kurtz is embracing the darkness. He's hiding in it. Every time his head moves, that shadow still stays across his face. And then there's this fantastic moment where he suddenly kind of shrugs off the darkness and speaks directly to Willard, saying he's not a soldier, he's just an errand boy. Now, I've watched this film many times and I've watched the documentary, The Making of, and the story goes that Marlon Brando was really out of shape, overweight, didn't know his lines, and caused the production a nightmare, and that's why they use the shadows to kind of hide him. But that's actually not true at all. Marlon Brando did a lot of preparation. He read the book, The Heart of Darkness, the original book, and he shaved his head specially. What actually happened was that production was such a difficult process in the jungle and coming up against all sorts of things that Francis Ford Coppola tried to deflect the problems onto his main man, who was quite a recluse. It is an urban myth about him being a nightmare on set. He wasn't at all. There are letters going back and forth between Francis Ford Coppola and Marlon Brando where they discuss the character, and Marlon Brando brought a lot of input into the script, into the ideas of what Kurtz should be like, and he gives the most incredible performance as well. It's like he's wearing that shadow. It's like he's using it as a mask on his face. And the lighting by Storaro is incredible. You can hardly see anything in that frame. And he makes that darkness look like another entity, another real living thing on the screen. You've even got that shadow on the right-hand wall there of Captain Willard, giving the darkness a human form. And I have to actually cheat a little bit in this episode. I'm going to reference one other shot in this film because the shot gets repeated. It's almost quoted later down the film. Captain Willard has a decision to make. He can either stay in the jungle and be like another Colonel Kurtz, or he can choose to leave. And there's this great shot where he kind of backs into the darkness, and you wonder, or is he gonna give himself over to the evil side of his heart's deep and darkest thoughts, or is he going to leave the jungle? And I won't tell you which one he does again, but the shot where you can see him deciding what to do is a direct reference to that going into the darkness, into the evil. And if you do watch the film, try and find the theatrical release. There's a Apocalypse Now Redux, which is way too long and self-indulgent, and there's bits in there that just don't need to be. That's why there's producers, because they can tell a director, you don't need that bit and you don't need that bit. And there's also one called Apocalypse Now Final Cut, and that's also got bits in it about there's a French expat community that they bump into, and it's just not necessary to the story. The story is so much more compelling when it's just about the Colonel Kurtz and the search and that journey up that river into darkness, into the jungle, and into madness. It's a really good film. Thanks for watching, guys. Episode 10, Apocalypse Now. It's a great way to celebrate episode 10. And by public demand, lots of people have been asking me for a lists episode. So I'm going to do a list, all right?
This is indeed the will of the council.
We're going to look at the top 10 films on Netflix right now.
Crikey!
Have a great week. Put your comments below, do a thumbs up, all that social media stuff, and I'll see you next time.